Today, I'm going to cover everything you need to know about drawing on your webcam using your Mac and Video Pencil. I won't leave out a single step, and I'll even share some troubleshooting tips if things go wrong. This is Square's TV App Lab number 128, where I show you how to use the tools I've created to look better on video. I'm Michael Forrest. I make Video Pencil, Shoot and QCam Presenter. It's just me designing, coding, making videos, live streaming and talking to you. I'm a company of one person and I made these tools so I can concentrate on my job instead of editing videos all the time. And this is all QCam. There's no Ecamm, there's no OBS, there's no Keynote, there's no audio hijack, there's no audio loopback, no NDI. It's all just coming out of my one app, and I just think this is the way forwards for video streaming. Hello, Lorenzo. Welcome. So we've got Video Pencil 1.9 on just about to come out. And this was a suggestion from Adrian Salisbury. So I've actually had this request a few different ways, but the approach Adrian suggested felt like just the right thing to improve the laser pointer in Video Pencil. Hello, Radio Ge there. So now you're going to be able to change the color, you can change the thickness, and you can change how it fades. So it's also like a lot smoother. So the first thing I'm going to show you is like, check this out. So first we'll go, I'll make sure it's red. Watch this. So we can draw around something and then after a moment it fades away, change color. So this is what Adrian suggested. It would be cool. And this has been suggested in different ways before. Can we sort of split the difference? So you can have it like, do this. Akim. Hello. Right. So here's this just to show you the smoothness improvements as well. Like, so this is how it used to look. So look on that first couple of frames, you get this like sort of straight line. But I realized when I was looking back at it, once it persists a bit longer, you can't really get away with stuff like that. So but I had a look into it and I realized I could get all the kind of microscopic in between positions from the thing. And so you can coalesce the touch position. So now I draw every single intermediate point. So it looks like this. So first, yeah, so you see that we can just draw, and then here's how you change color. You can just like change to anything using this color picker, change to a nice bright color ideally. And then when you draw, it's just going to do that. And you can switch it back to the old behavior as well and just have it as a tail. But now you've got the choice. The second thing I wanted to talk about is something I did want to keep. Oh, by the way, I do want to. Khalik has made a. Just going to say yes, it is, isn't it? Look, QCam Presenter, get it. Take it from Khalik. Anyway, listen, I've been keeping this a little bit of news under my hat until I knew it was going to be possible. But after a tweak to the Zoom Developer Toolkit last week, I can now confidently say that the Zoom app is coming soon. So I'm going to give you a little demo. So this is what it's going to look like. So basically the Video Pencil, so Zoom Apps, you install it down under apps. So let's just go back. So you've got this little more thing, you can go apps. And so you can install apps, and ignore that there's two there. So you click on Video Pencil, you can have this automatically launch. And it will give you a QR code. And that's just happening directly inside Zoom. And so then you just grab your iPad camera app, scan the QR code, press tap, it's going to launch you into Video Pencil, and look, instantly connected. And now you can just like draw in Zoom straight away. And you can, and then this is part of the demo I was showing, like in future you will also be able to like load up a PDF and draw on the PDF, go through the different cards on there. So this is coming. So the cool thing about this is that it's not just Mac, it's going to work. So it's a sort of, you can see it's even got like a blank board feature, and I might add a couple of bits and bobs that I can add. But really, like, this is something that means that Windows users can finally have a streamlined Video Pencil experience. And it's sort of like you don't always need the whole caboodle of QCam, or like maybe you don't realize you need QCam yet. You just want to kind of draw on the webcam. This gets you started with that, and then we can once you start realizing you want to do more, then we can sort of like upgrade you to QCam over time. If you're already using QCam, you don't need this, but if you know some Windows people, this is going to change everything. So there's still a bit of an app review process. So, I'm sort of trying to get my head. I got some feedback and I'm like Apple gives you bullet points. Zoom gives you a lot of prose to kind of try and figure out with a lot of technical language. So I just need to find a minute to look at that. But I've been working pretty hard on some other stuff. So there's a new feature for Video Pencil that I've been thinking. Well, there's two actually. Well, you saw the slide deck thing there, like the PDF traversal. That's one thing I've been working on. Another thing is this new thing for Video Pencil that I will just give you a couple of sneaky screenshots. So this is like my design document. Based on something that a sort of a football director of this sort of football association in the UK, soccer to you Americans, gave me this thing with loads of what the sort of standards for annotating games and drawing the players, and I sort of thought, oh, this could be like a new toolbar in QCam that looks something like that. And so I've sort of like had a bit of a, you see it's like sort of a janky start here. I've been working on that, but like what's happening here? These yellow boxes are machine learning. It's detecting the players so I've got this sort of like core ML model that can like figure out where the players are and hopefully follow them. So I was just trying to figure out if I could do that, because then it sort of simplifies, instead of having to like grab this thing to mark a player, you can just like tap the player and it kind of knows where to put the marker, and it knows where to put the like the thing on their head as well. So as you tap it, it kind of goes, maybe it can like remember the number and it can sort of draw the dotted thing around, and when you draw the line it can sort of do that stuff. So I'm just thinking about how to sort of make that a little pack that you can install in Video Pencil if you're doing football commentary. So that's something I've been thinking about, but it does mean that I spent most of yesterday trying to make sure that I get, so this thing that detects where the players are is like 50 megabytes, which would double the size of the Video Pencil download and would only be for like a few people. So I've been figuring out how to use Apple's background download service, which was very complicated, but that was like most of yesterday. Like, how can I make sure that when people aren't downloading this whole thing just for, and because what if I want to add more sports, like different machine learning models? I don't want the Video Pencil to turn into like a 500 megabyte download. I want it to be nice and lean. So I figured that out. It's quite painful, but got it working, so I'll be pushing ahead on that. Another thing is I started documenting real-time Swift, which is what's behind QCam. So I sort of made this video, but I didn't get, I thought I'd get a bit more of a response, but no one really seemed that interested. And then over the weekend, I was like, maybe they just don't, I started thinking about this other video over the weekend, which was like, why would I do this? So just to explain why I spent the best part of a year building something that to the casual Apple developer, you wouldn't even realize that this is necessary. So I sort of ended up kind of, and then when I was looking at that, I started second guessing myself on Monday. I had this really like a bit of a kind of panicked Monday, going, did I need to do this? Because I thought of some new ideas of things that I hadn't tried like a year ago, when I tried loads of stuff and I'd been thinking about it for months, right? And I'd been like reading and learning about how Swift UI works behind the scenes, but I just had a bit of a, did I just waste a year kind of like freak out. So then to kind of like get over that, I made a little like test harness to sort of show all the problems with it. So here is here's what that is. So here's like, this is a Swift UI animation here, and then so you see how that's like that was moving. When we sort of change that state between one and the other, we get this nice transition up here. But how do we sort of like turn it into video frames? Like, how do we capture it? Well, Apple gives you this thing called Image Renderer that lets you give a SwiftUI view, render it, but then what happens when you try and use it is, if you've got this transition, it's now, you see it's not doing the slide, it's just like flashing between the colors. So I'm like, okay, that's annoying. I'm gonna have to do some weird stuff to make that behave the way I want. And then it was I tried another thing. So this is using a different way of doing animations called the timeline view, and you see it's getting bigger and smaller as expected. But what happens when we use the Apple thing for getting the pixels? Nothing. It's just like one of the frames. It doesn't move at all. So what happens if I try to add a camera? So here's how you would add a camera in the normal Swift thing. So it's like a bit convoluted, like doing lots of different frameworks. But what happens when we try and put this through image renderer? We get absolutely nothing like this thing. So this was just like, okay. And then that also happened, I thought, okay, maybe it's because I'm doing some convoluted stuff here. So let's use like a native video player as well. See if that does anything. What happens when we try and use that? We get this thing again. So like basically I was just hitting so many obstacles with all this Apple stuff. Landmines left, right, and center, all sorts of things that would result in this like yellow thing of death and mean that I couldn't get video feeds from it. So it was a process of like thinking hard, reading, doing a lot of research, and then going like this.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
So that is oops. That is very much that was very much the feeling of okay, right, I'm just gonna have to build this thing myself. To be honest, before Apple introduced Swift UI in like 2017, I want to say, or 19, 18, 19, I think 19, 20 maybe. I was like on the verge of trying to build something like that because I've built stuff like that years ago, in Flash in the old days. So it was it was kind of like I needed something like this eventually, so I just did it, and so here it is, and I've sort of proved to myself that it was definitely worth doing, I think, and just overcome that kind of like panic attack feeling that was happening on Monday. But yeah, it's funny, like the thing is, like I'm having a bit of a thing. This is a bit of a site. This isn't. I'm going to get to the content in a moment. The video I made yesterday about that, I just gave you a little kind of like subvert, like a little snippet of that video, just did a live version of it. I like video because it's content, like there's I want to make videos quickly, but sometimes you just get like trapped in an idea and you sort of end up spending ages. But like I'm like I had an hour scheduled for this and it's taken 2 afternoons and it's kind of like making me feel stressed and I just want to get it out. And then I sort of like get a basic version of it. I do like 2 or 3 run throughs and I get a version of the recording that's fine for what, and I'm like, this is enough for what it is. It's way better than most technical dev logs or anything like that, and it gets the idea across. There's some transitions, there's some delivery here and there that I'm not too happy with, but like I don't think it's going to break the bank. If it's going to be like interesting to people, it's going to be interesting. But I have been feeling like that thing of, how much more polish should I be putting into the videos for the channel? Because, and just should I just be like spending way more time on the videos and way less time development? But that's not what I want to do. I want to work and I want to show you all the cool stuff. So you've seen all the stuff that I've been working on. I've got millions of irons in fire, and that's what makes me happy. So I do just want to put out these videos, and you do get this sort of a unique QCam presenter style, which sort of is quite rich, but it just has different sorts of like rough edges to any other way of doing things. And I'm fine with that, but I just wonder how that comes across to people that are used to either a slick, polished YouTube video or like sort of a rambling live stream. Like this is not quite clear if you're not familiar with because QCam is a new thing, right? It's not necessarily clear, I don't know, to an audience what's happening. So I don't know. I think this is a new format that maybe I don't know how well people are connecting with it, so I just hope they are. Anyway, that's just a little bit of a ramble about how I'm feeling about video production at the moment now that I'm back into it. It's like I made this video. I'm not totally happy with the result, but I also don't think it would be smart to like spend another day on it because it is such a niche thing. So anyway, let us get on with, if you're interested in Video Pencil, let us proceed. So this is a beginner's guide to drawing on your webcam with Video Pencil and QCam Presenter. So if you've ever seen someone do this, it's quite good, isn't it? Right? You're just communicating something. You can sort of be like, yeah, I think we should do this, and then we should take it to here, and then this should be amazing. 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 Of course, like as soon as I try and do live titles. No disruptions. You see that worked. So there's no disruptions, no screen shares, just direct communication. Just direct communication. There you see. Seamless. I shouldn't like overcomplicate this, should I? And what about this? Like bringing out a blank board and being able to say, look, here is option one, option one. Here is option two. We go from A to B. Like that's quite good, isn't it? A blank board. And like no screen sharing. Just sort of directly into your webcam. So I want to show you how easy it is to set this up thanks to Video Pencil and QCam Presenter. So what do you need? You need a Mac, ideally Mac OS 26 or later, ideally Apple Silicon, which I think Apple is dropping Intel support soon anyway for updates. So like an M1 or newer, they're just such a difference to the Intel thing. Like I would never go back. And then a webcam or an iPhone. So you can either use, using Shoot, which is included with QCam, or you can use Continuity Camera as well. You also need an iPad. Relatively recent. I use a 10th gen, which is fine. You don't need a Pro, and just running iOS 17 plus, right? So just make sure you've got a reasonably recent iPad and you're doing okay. And then the third thing I'm going to recommend is a USB cable. So keep your iPad charged while it's connected, because you just kind of want to leave it connected. And then it's going to give you a better connection to the Mac. So if you're at your computer, just make sure that you can plug the thing in, because like the number of times I've seen people, their Wi-Fi issues are causing Video Pencil to not connect or have stutters. It's just so much easier to just plug it in and then it's being charged and it just works better. So how much does the software part cost? So basically you can try all of this for free, but there's like a sort of Video Pencil logo that kind of appears over the top of things if you haven't paid for anything, and a QCam logo sometimes as well, but actually not in most cases. But you've got two ways to sort of like get started with this if you do want to pay. So pricing, QCam has a $4.99 a month tier, which is rent to own. So like that's not something you have to necessarily pay forever, and there's also some big educational discounts, or we've got like this $39 essentials lifetime purchase in Video Pencil that removes the watermark, and then QCam's not going to interfere after that. So what do you need to download to get started? So on your iPad, you're going to get Video Pencil from the App Store. So you can find that via videopencil.com on the iPad, and it'll just take you to the App Store. There's a link. Download that onto your iPad, and that's going to give you this app, which looks something like this. Once you're using it, you've got your toolbar, you've got some you can see, you'll be able to see your webcam in there. And then on your Mac, you're going to download QCam Presenter. So this is a direct download from the website. And to install it, you're going to drag it into your applications folder. So it's not the App Store, it's a direct thing. It's notarized, signed, secure. It's all good, don't worry. And QCam does a lot of things that you don't need to worry about to start with. If we're just talking about doing this, like you don't need to worry about its amazing features for now. But the important part is it's going to guide you through the setup process so you can proceed with the next step. So I'll just take you through the highlights. This is kind of what that guide process is going to look like. So it's going to need camera access because it needs to become a virtual camera. So it needs to start with your camera feed. So make sure you allow that. That gets you to with a webcam, and then instantly you're going to be able to connect to Video Pencil and try that out. But there's a few more steps after that just to round everything out. You can skip the Shoot step if you want, but if you do want to install Shoot, it's great, but it's sort of like not necessary for quite yet to get started. Microphone access is so that we can do recording and other things later, so that's useful to have, and you can also see if you're too loud. But this might be the most important step, and it's the one that trips most people up. And I've done my best. Apple makes it work this way. Maybe the next version of Mac OS. I haven't tried it actually. Like I should see if they've improved this again, because it was really bad to start with, and it's slightly better now, but it's still bad. So when you click "I'm ready," it's going to pop up a box which is going to have a blue button which you must not press. Do not press OK. Don't press OK. Click Open System Settings, and that takes you to the camera extension settings. So you click this second box, or everything goes wrong. And then you turn this switch on, right? So this is QCam Presenter. I mean, your one will say, yeah, your one will say QCam Presenter. And there's a switch there to turn that on to make sure that it is able to use the camera extension. Put in your password, good to go. And then QCam's going to give you another couple of things. You can install this virtual mic. Again, this is more for recording and stuff, but there's no, you should just add it because it gives you all this other stuff in the future. And then once you've done that, you're ready to go. So basically that's all the setup you need to think about, and it's guided you through it. You downloaded an app, you downloaded another app, you went through the process, you just said yes to a few things that it's a virtual mic and camera, so it needs those things. So now if you go to Video Pencil, you're going to see QCam, the video feed coming through to your iPad. So it's gonna. I should probably have a picture of that. So when I draw, I can see it on my iPad screen. I can draw around. I can see exactly where I'm drawing because it's coming right through. Now to use QCam in Zoom, like before you join the meeting, just make sure that QCam is selected as your camera, right? So this is so QCam's going to be an app that's giving you that's kind of like giving you the camera feed. I should draw this. So QCam's going right. I'm taking the camera. I'm going to put that together with the drawing that's coming from the iPad. I'm going to do all that for you, right? So I've drawn. I can see my face on the iPad screen. I can see that I've drawn something on the iPad, right? QCam is dealing with that connection, and then basically that's making a virtual camera that you can use anywhere else on your computer, and that camera is called QCam. Right, so you just select that in Zoom, and now you're going to be able to draw on your webcam in Zoom. And it's the same sort of thing in Teams. Teams has this little drop down here with QCam, and you just select that. Right, there's also QCam audio, so that's useful to have for once you want to start playing videos through it, but don't worry about that for now. And then just something to note, we'll talk about background filters in a moment, but if you want to select it in other apps, because it's this webcam, virtual camera, you can use it in FaceTime, QuickTime Player, Google Meet, anything running in Chrome or Safari, WebEx, or basically anywhere else on your computer. You can use QCam with Video Pencil. You can draw on your camera in any of those other apps, right? With no extra steps. And so just one thing to know is don't use that blurred background effect, because it's going to so if you've got what it's doing is it's like figuring out where your face is, and then everything that's not your face, it's blurring. So that then means that it's going to, like, if you draw a line, it's going to be like all blurred because it thinks it's part of the background. So you just need to turn that off. But luckily, QCam does let you change your camera settings and add your own blur within QCam. So if you do want to change your background or blur it, then you can do that from QCam instead. Just don't do it in Teams or Zoom. And then you also should make sure that Apple isn't blurring your webcam. So any video camera apps will have this menu. And you just need to make sure that portrait is turned off, studio light is turned off, and the background is turned off. Make sure those things are not switched on, both in QCam and in Zoom, Teams, Gmail, Google or whatever, Google Chrome. So yeah, just make sure those effects are switched off, or it will kind of interfere with what QCam's doing. There's also an effect in Zoom where it will like crop into your face, so you need to turn that off as well. So I think that's everything you need to know to get started. So the other thing I wanted to show you was how to open a blank board to draw on, because I think that's another way of, if your background isn't as clear as mine or blurred, then it can be useful to create a blank board. So the way you do that, in that main camera window in QCam, you've just got this blank board. You click the share bar and you can click blank board there, and that's going to give you this. Right, it's going to slide out this blank board, and you're going to be able to, yeah, as I've shown you before, like you're going to be able to slide that out. And so you're just going to be able to, pull that out whenever you need it. And if you don't want to like go through the menu every time, you can actually right click on it when it's sharing blank board, save to slot, pick a slot. Right, and now that's your slot. So you can just literally press 1 and it's going to bring out the blank board now if you're in the QCam window. So that's really handy if you just want to bring it in and out. And something that's also quite cool is it will remember the last drawing that you drew on it, even if you clear it. And if you don't like the color, you can sort of select it from this little list of colors here, or if you click on here, that brings out the color picker. So you can change the background. I've changed it to this slightly awkward purple, as you can see here. So you can change the color of that. And you can also resize it just by clicking in that vertical thing and just pulling it left and right, and that's going to change the size of the blank board. And so that's everything you need to know to probably like but most people are going to be like, how did you do that? When you start going, I think that's really cool. Yeah, wow. That's cool. Wow. Um, so here's a little checklist next time you're on a video call. Right, I see a question which I am going to answer with Lorenzo in a second, but here's the video call checklist for you. So check that QCam's open, check that Video Pencil is open on your iPad, check that they are both connected. So if you draw, no, if you draw it, can you see it on the Mac? And is QCam selected in Zoom or Teams, right? Is it selected as the camera in your meeting software? And then here are some troubleshooting steps because, not everything always goes perfectly. So if something doesn't work, here's what you can try. So if Video Pencil doesn't show your Mac's webcam and the drawings don't appear on the Mac, that probably means that they're not connected. It might be a Wi-Fi problem. It might be something else. But if you know the Wi-Fi is okay, and if you know, or if it's connected over USB, something you can always just quickly try is just a little force quit Video Pencil. So here's how you force quit something on an iPad. You swipe it up halfway. It takes you to this view, and then you swipe it up the top. Swipe it up halfway, swipe it off the top. That's going to sort of force quit it, give it a sec, start it again, and 90% of the time that's going to bring the connection back. Ideally, you wouldn't have to do that, but yeah, that's what you have to do. And if that doesn't work, you can try just like quitting QCam. So just right click on the icon, quit, and or use Command Q or whatever, see if that sort of brings it back. And if your camera is frozen in Zoom or Teams, and I've heard this reported, check is QCam running, right? Just because it's only going to work if QCam is running, because it needs to be like doing that thing, that I mentioned before. So we've got the video frame coming in here, you've got the iPad over here, you've got your drawing, you've got your thing, and Video Pencil needs to be running to make that virtual camera work, right? That camera extension, which then goes into Zoom. So if QCam's not running, nothing's happening, okay? So just make sure that's running. And to tell if it's running, I know, like, if you're not like a power user, maybe you're not like familiar with what apps running or not means, because it is actually quite subtle when I think about it. I'm so like, I've been using this software for so long that I might not realize that. Just make sure that little white dot is under the icon, and it should work. And then you can always try a quit if that doesn't work. What if only the drawing is visible in Zoom or Teams and not the camera? Well, just check that you haven't turned off the camera in QCam. So you can actually like turn off the camera in QCam, right? In the same way as you would in Zoom. So just make sure it's on in QCam. You would also see that there was no camera on the iPad either in that case. And then, make sure that, yeah, so this is what that looks like, by the way. So have a line through it if it's turned off. And so if you like tried QCam or you just want to know that you're going to be able to back out to get it off the computer, I thought I'd just mention how to do that. To remove QCam, it has installed that virtual mic, so you're going to have to remove that. Either you go into like audio plugins or you do it from the QCam menu. And then when you delete QCam, it should remove the virtual camera. So here's how that looks. Like the output menu has virtual mic, uninstall virtual mic. That will remove that from your system. And then you've got, if you drag QCam into the bin, it's going to pop up a thing saying the camera extension has been removed. So that's just like how you can do that. But I think once people see you doing your drawings and all your stuff, and it's so easy to do that you're not going to be wanting to back out, are you? So that's all available to try now. And if you go to qcam.app, it's going to sort of like give you an entry point. Or if you go to Video Pencil, that also in the help is going to sort of point you towards QCam. So these two apps were made to work together. Really, like the genesis of QCam is Video Pencil. So I'm going to answer some questions. I have got. I'm going to say hello to Val. Hi, welcome. How are you doing? And then I'm going to say we've got this question from Lorenzo. So Lorenzo says he took many Adrian Salisbury classes, and he was the one that introduced me to Shoot, and I've been with you since. So QCam Presenter, how is the QCam Presenter Live coming along? Now I read this question, I'm not sure. What do you mean the live stream, or do you mean the live streaming features, or do you just mean the do you mean the app? I think the app's going quite well. If that's, but feel free to clarify because I'm not totally sure what that is. But but thanks for like that's fun. It's always good to hear where people have come from as well. But yeah, Adrian did reach out, and he was, I think he slept on the live stream. You mean just today? Yeah, today it's going fine. It's going fine. I'm kind of like starting to try and redo content because there's always little hiccups when I present it live. So let's try and get just keep doing the things until we can refine this pitch and make sure everybody's on board, all new people can get on board. So yeah, I'm happy. It's good. And it's a bit easier than kind of writing something from scratch as well. But anyway, where were we? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Adrian. It was Adrian. I think he slept on Video Pencil for a while, but I think he's realised now that it's worth talking about. So I think he's going to be talking about it in his new masterclasses a bit more, and so that's why he was like, "Hey, can you do my laser pointer thing?" I'm quite happy with that. I think this is quite cool. Just how it kind of like. Do you see the fade via QCam? You should do. It's like a couple of frames. It's like a little subtle thing. Anyway, I think that's good. So yeah, I always like to say, if you have been with me, how long have we been live? Like, where's the counter? Can I see the counter? I don't know how long we've been live. Oh, just over half an hour. That's fine though. But if you've joined me for today's session, there's a discount code. You can get 20% off your first QCam purchase with that, and so you can get started on the cheap. So feel free to like and subscribe to this channel as well, or just like share the videos with people at least, so I can at least I can see which are the videos that people like more, right? And that helps me kind of decide which content to work on. So the more comments and feedback I can get, the more I know when I'm doing a good job or when I'm just like losing everyone. I did go through and like unlist all of the devlog stuff today and like a lot of old videos because I just felt like it was a bit of a confusing channel. So let me know what you think of the new channel layout. I've added some intro videos and some bits and bobs that I think should make it a bit more approachable. And let me know actually, like, if you do have a look, if you think there's anything missing or anything confusing, then please give me some feedback. And of course, we are always, I'm always on Discord, and that's where you can find me. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.